What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we are going to go over the complete history of the Chevrolet Avalanche, which ran from 2002 to 2013. The Chevy Avalanche was a two-generation, four-door, full-size truck built on the same long chassis as the Suburban, Chevy's largest and one of their most successful vehicles of all time. The Avalanche gave buyers a more rugged version of the Silverado, Chevy's flagship truck. Unlike the Silverado, though, the Avalanche was only ever offered with a V8 engine, though buyers had a selection of how big of a V8 they really wanted. The Avalanche was built in Mexico for its 12-year run, but still held to be fairly reliable, which is rare for vehicles made south of the border. General Motors also released the Cadillac EXT in this time frame, which was a fancier and much more expensive version of the Avalanche. The first generation ran from 2002 to 2006, and unlike most vehicles, did not have any trim levels. Instead, these models were mainly distinguished by which engine the car came with, either the smaller 5.3-liter V8 or the much larger 8.1-liter V8. Despite the lack of trim levels, you can find Avalanches with higher-end features, which just had to be added separately when purchased at the dealer. For off-road enthusiasts, Chevy offered a Z71 package, which acted as somewhat of an honorary trim level. The Z71 package was offered in both generations and every model year of the Avalanche, and made a big difference in the vehicle's off-roading capability, improving its off-road suspension and simplifying the use of four-wheel drive. In addition to the off-road improvements, the Z71 package also came with very comfortable power-adjustable leather seats with a stitched Chevrolet bow tie in the middle, differentiating it from other non-Z71 seats. Aside from the interior comforts, the package also came with multiple cosmetic enhancements on the exterior of the vehicle, including a Z71 decal on the rear. For those that wanted all the cosmetic upgrades without the off-road capabilities, a Z66 package was available for a fraction of the price. On the smaller end of the two engine options offered in the first-generation Avalanche is the 5.3-liter LM7 V8, which was also referred to as the 1500 series. This engine put out 285 horsepower in 2002 and 3, but was upgraded in 2004 to put out 295 horsepower. It put out 325 pound-feet of torque in the first 2 years, which was also upgraded in 2004 to 335 pound-feet. This engine used a 4-speed automatic transmission and got 14 miles per gallon city and 18 miles per gallon on the highway, decent for a full-size truck in the early 2000s. This engine, like every other, came with an option for rear-wheel or four-wheel drive, and was able to tow 7,300 pounds and had a payload of 1,300 pounds. The larger of the two engine options on the first generation was the absolutely massive 8.1-liter L18 V8, also referred to as the 2500 series. Avalanches with the L18 put out 340 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque, which was a lot of torque for a non-diesel engine. Like all models in the first generation, this vehicle used a 4-speed automatic transmission and had an option of rear-wheel or four-wheel drive. The real drag to this engine is its fuel economy, which comes in at 10 in the city and only 12 on the highway, but it somewhat makes up for it in its ability to tow 12,000 pounds with a payload of 1,800 pounds. Though the first generation was a great success overall, one major complaint from 2002 to 2006 Avalanche owners was issues with the plastic cladding which surrounded the first generation models. Shortly after purchase, the plastic would fade to an unappealing shade of gray and even crack if it had enough sun exposure. Owners, or just people looking to buy an early Avalanche, should expect to treat the cladding occasionally with some sort of plastic protectant or run it over with a heat gun every once in a while to restore its deep black factory color. For the 2007 model year, Chevy redesigned the Avalanche along with many other similar GM models, entering the Avalanche into its second generation. This new generation dropped the plastic cladding and made the vehicle seem less rugged and gave it a very similar design to other Chevy models like the Suburban and Tahoe. This new generation also brought with it 3 new trim levels, which were absent on the first generation, and continued offering the Z71 package, which offered basically the same upgrades as it did in the generation prior. The engine options were also updated in 2007, with buyers being able to choose from an improved 5.3-liter V8, which could now take E85 gas, or a new 6.0-liter V8, which replaced the 8.1-liter as the Avalanche's heavy-duty option. The base trim level of the Avalanche was the LS trim, which contained all the vehicle's standard features. This included 17-inch alloy rims, cloth seats with only the driver's seat being power adjustable, keyless entry, traction control, a rear-view camera, and a power sunroof. The fastest way to tell you're looking at an LS is the black plastic door handles and side mirrors, which are upgraded in other trim levels. One step up is the LX trim, which came with a few minor improvements. In the interior, the LX offers a somewhat fancy plastic wood trim as well as power-adjustable cloth seats that had an upgraded fabric, until 2011 when the LX got full leather seats. In terms of tech, the LX got remote start as well as satellite radio compatibility. Most notably on the exterior was color-matching door handles and rearview mirrors, an upgrade from the black plastic on the LS trim. The fanciest trim on the second-generation Avalanche was named the LTZ trim. This trim made its mark by using the fanciest of all materials, chrome. To show everyone how rich they were, LTZ drivers had chrome door handles, rearview mirror caps, a chrome grille, and 20-inch polished chrome rims. I don't know, maybe they overdid it just a bit. The LTZ did have beautiful perforated leather seats that were of course power adjustable and capable of heating and cooling. In terms of tech, the LTZ had a 6-disc CD changer, I don't know who would use that today, and a high-quality 8-speaker Bose sound system. This trim also had a self-leveling suspension, giving drivers a much better ride on paved roads, but also giving them something else to worry about when it inevitably breaks. Getting into the two engine options on the second generation, we'll start on the smaller side with the 5.3-liter LC9 V8, which was an improved version of the 5.3-liter LM9 V8 that was used in the generation prior. The big change came in the engine's ability to use E85 gas, which is usually around 30% cheaper than regular gasoline. This engine also got a power upgrade, putting out 320 horsepower, or 326 with the E85, and 335 pound-feet of torque, or 350 with the E85. This engine put out power through the same 4-speed automatic transmission as the first generation until the 2009 model year, when all Avalanches changed to a new 6-speed automatic. This engine got 14 miles per gallon in the city and 20 on the highway, which was a slight improvement, but could only tow 5,100 pounds with a payload of 1,400 pounds. The larger of the two engines on the second-generation Avalanche was the 6-liter L76 V8, which replaced the much larger and more powerful 8.1-liter from the first generation. This motor put out 366 horsepower and 378 pound-feet of torque through a 4-speed auto before 2009 and a 6-speed in 2009. Because it was on the larger side, its efficiency took a hit, getting 12 miles per gallon in the city and 17 on the highway, with a tow capacity of 8,000 pounds and a payload of 1,350 pounds. Because the larger purchase price and worse efficiency didn't quite make up for the small increase in performance, the 6-liter version of the Avalanche did not sell well and was discontinued after the 2009 model year, leaving the 5.3-liter as the only option from 2010 to 2013. So what happened to the Chevy Avalanche? Well, long story short, its sales sucked, especially in its later years. The larger graph shows the percent change in sales from 2006 onward, with the Avalanche as the blue line and its competitors, the Ram 1500 and the Ford F-150, as the orange and gray line. What stands out in the graph is the Avalanche's inability to recover from the dip in sales every car experienced in 2008 and 2009 due to the Great Recession. While other competitors and car manufacturers were better able to rebound, the Avalanche, as well as the entire General Motors company, was left in the dust. Its disappointing performance in the second generation directly led to General Motors dropping the Avalanche from its lineup in order to focus on its much more successful Silverado pickup truck and Tahoe and Suburban SUVs.